Well, we're talking about true human being living. This is Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. If you're going fishing, and you're going fishing after the big one, the real big one, you want to see him. When you catch him on the hook, you want to see that fish. You want to see him break water. And you want to see him come up. And you want to wrestle him to the boat. And you want to see him get in the boat. You want to bring him in the boat. And then you want to show him off. Now, I'm talking spiritually this morning too, as well as physically. Physically, you have got to know how to catch that fish. Now, if you want the attention of God, you've got to know how to get to the place to get the attention of God. God showed himself some 44 times personally, face to face, in the Old Testament. Are you living in such a manner that you have put away the flesh enough and are living close enough to God spiritually that if he appeared to you face to face, you would not die of a heart attack? You would not die of fright. The Bible said no man can look upon the face of God and live. Yet, God said he talked to a dozen or two men. I just got done studying for a while of the men that God talked to face. He talked to Noah face to face during the time of the ark. He talked to Moses face to face. He even talked to a woman face to face. He talked to Miriam. He talked to Aaron face to face. And he also appeared to Job and said to Job face to face. And then God appeared to Isaiah face to face. You can study these out by going to these books and see them. He talked to Amos face to face. Who was Amos? Amos was called one of the minor prophets, a little bitty man, insignificant in all of his life, in a big sense of the word. By the average person, he would have been an insignificant person. But to God, God saw him in such a great light that he actually came and appeared to him and talked to him face to face. A man like you or I, a man whose window of time on the earth was very short, just a little bitty small bit of time in God's realm of time. And God came and spoke to that man. You say, Brother Peter, you've been saved some 40 years. Do you study a lot? Yes, I do. Do you pray a lot? Yes, I do. Do you read a lot of Bible? Yes, I do. Do you have a fear of meeting God face to face? Yes, I do. Why? Because there's a part of me that David said this: my sin is ever before me, Lord. My sin is ever before me, Lord. The closer that you get to the Lord, the more the little sin in your life is ever before you. David saw that the closer he got to God, the more that little bitty sin that he had somewhere in his life cropped up and was ever before him. David in the flesh loved women. And David in the flesh had a problem with the flesh. The proof of that is that he had many wives. So when David said, Lord, my problem, my sin is ever before me, What was his natural sin? He had a natural sin. David did not sin with his heart. David's heart was after God. Inside of David's flesh was a pure David, just as pure as God would have him be. He was righteous before God in his heart. But his outside flesh, he had a problem with. When you meet God face to face, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to look like that right there. When you meet him face to face, the light is going to actually blind you from actually seeing his face. You can hear his voice talking to you, and you'll hear him. But you've got to remember, God is pure light. God is pure light. When you get to the face of God, you're going to have pure light, like brighter than the sun. Brighter than the sun. Why did the cherubims have 2 wings over their faces and 2 wings over their feet, and did fly with 2 wings? They had 6 wings. I don't know 100% for sure, but I do know they had eyes, and if they looked directly at God, they probably would have been blinded by the light that God is. Not that God has. God doesn't have light. God is light. When God was on this earth, before he made the 2 lights, the bigger light and the lesser light, there was light on this earth. Where did that light come from? It came from the presence of God. In the beginning, everything was dark, but when God showed up on the earth, everything was light. But he didn't make the lights, the moon and the sun, until later on. Read the Bible. Read it. Read when there was light. There was light here. When God separated the waters from beneath from the waters above, and the firmament from beneath and the firmament from above, when he did all of that, there was light on this earth, and that light was God himself. And then when he made the bigger light, the lesser light, the moon, and the bigger light, the sun, and put them in place, then those were the lights, that were going to rule the earth that God lit up originally by himself. Okay. Let's see who else God met. In Revelation, he met John. He talked with John face to face. Before then, he talked with Stephen face to face. Stephen was being stoned to death, and he looked into heaven, and he saw God sitting on the throne, and the Son of God standing beside him at his right hand. And then Jesus himself, who was God in the flesh, came and appeared to Saul of Tarshish, which later on is referred to as Paul. But Saul of Tarshish, God came and appeared to him in the New Testament. And besides this, and above, there were appearances that the prophets saw God. They saw his shape, they saw his body like a man. They saw his hair like gray wool. They saw his eyes like eyes of fire. They saw his clothing and his train that was behind him. And the cherubims explain and exclaim about God in Ezekiel. Now another thing, he appeared to Daniel in the book of Daniel. Study it. He appeared to Zechariah in the book of Zechariah. And he appeared to Enoch, and he took Enoch. Enoch was, and then he was not, and God took him. And God revealed himself. Could you stand the revelation of God? If God revealed himself directly to you today, would you fall dead, or could you stand it? You've got to be close to God in order to be able to stand face to face with